Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Great Retainer. Thanks for clicking on this video and let me entertain you for a bit. So, this day we're gonna be reading a story from Reddit. Reddit's Pro Revenge is a Reddit page, I guess, or something. I'm not really sure. So, let me really just start. Let me start with some background information. I come from a very small town. Think of the littlest, most nothing happens here city, extended layover, your flyover, state nightmares. And my hometown is even more quiet than that. Think, half a mile or more between neighbors, a single main street downtown. So one McDonald's, one department store, one movie theater, and 3 scenes where everyone goes Friday and Saturday night. Church every Sunday, everyone knows everyone else, or at least knows their business. The whole city is invested in the fortune of high school football teams. That sort of place, graduating class of 60, not because the senior class was dumb. It was just because the high school was tiny. I didn't really fit into school, and kinda was a loner by choice. I cringe about it now when I'm almost 26, but I was a wannabe emo or goth rocker. I still got invited to parties with other kids, not because they liked me, but because there was nobody to invite, actually. My mom baked cookies for the church, and when she wasn't doing that, she got her in the town's one salon. My dad owned the internet cafe, and he turned it into a tax service business. He served 20 years as a PT officer, and this tax service didn't go that well, but he wasn't depending on that. He was actually a PT officer in the Navy, so yeah, that was nothing. And so he and Mom got it by on his pension. In high school, I worked in a private burger place that completely, mostly and successfully against the town's single chain fast food restaurant. My boss always told me I should ask my mom to cut my hair to stop looking like a dang girl. No thanks, old man. So, with all this boredom everywhere, you can imagine the sensation Miss Amber Fontaine caused when the high school hired her to be the 11th and 12th grade English teacher. Miss Fontaine was of French extraction and had moved to America in her later teens to go to college in New York. She was only 24 and very beautiful. She spoke perfect English, but did so with a very pleasant accent. Obviously, all the guys loved her and lots of women hated her. You know, all the guys love you, but all the women hate you. Yeah, that's great. So she, apparently, she appeared obvious to all the attention. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of sick, so yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit sick, but whatever. She was apparently obvious to all the attention and just stuck with her job. Really, we didn't know too much about her. She mostly kept her to herself and nobody ever saw her hanging out with any men in town. And it wasn't our lack of the men trying. It soon became clear that she wasn't into dating any of the men the city had to offer. Much later, I found out that she had just taken her job in our small town to gain experience, with the future goal of being a college professor in a big city. A sort of a 2-year plan. I obviously had a crush on her. We all did. It was still and still is a small church-going town, so nobody really acted out on his urges or tried to harass her or anything like that. All guys would talk about how hot she is amongst ourselves. Usual locker room stuff teenage boys do, but that was it. My one real out of school experience with Miss Fontaine, 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 yeah, Miss Fontaine, was when she stopped by the burger point I worked in and saw me walking there. She told me I had a nice smile and I wished that I smiled more. Because in school I was always frowning because I was in my emo everything sucks phase. What the hell? Everything sucks! Everything sucks! Whatever. When the food preppers came up with her food and she handed it to me to give it to her, I was impressed and not at all surprised that she ordered a salad. She didn't strike me as someone who ate the greasier slop and we sold there. In school, the following Monday, she smiled at me in the hall, and I smiled back. Then she shouted, You're learning, but you're not a condescending or patronizing way, just a fun kidding way. And I explained, why am I speaking? My tongue, it's being destroyed. And I exchanged a smile with her and every time after that. After I was extended of my great high school romance with Miss Fontaine, I exchanged a few hellos and smiles during my senior year, and I was 17. Things changed the following year, though. I was 18 and still working at the Radiant for it. When Miss Fontaine comes by the restaurant, I'm like, oh hey, she says, and asks with real seriousness, are you going to college? I tell the truth, I'm working with my band. I cringe about this period in my life too, playing guitar and saving money for community college. Only sort of truth about the last thing. Honestly, most of my money I spend on weed, and ecstasy. What is that? I don't know. I was the main vocalist in addiction to being a guitarist. In our band, only had other members were Jerry, the bassist Gabe, the drummer. Both of them were just out of high school, like me, and were like me. They had no plans to go to college. Gabe worked at the same burger joint as me, and Jerry, who had been one of my best friends in high school, ironically worked at the chain fast food restaurant down the street from my restaurant. Our lives at this time revolved around wasting your youth, skateboarding, getting hydrated, drinking water. And you know what? They were just drinking water, nothing weird. Getting hydrated, drinking water, and playing in our punk band. Well, like to think we were playing emo punk metal fusion, but looking back, our sound hasn't aged well. Mrs. Fontani tells me about that now that she's in the second year of teaching. She has a better sense of how to do things. She tells me that she wished that her current students were as well behaved and put as much effort as me. I earned me mediocre grades throughout school, but consistently earned an A in English because I like to read. She says she will see me around. Okay, this starts to be interesting, man. Like, really interesting. A few days later, she comes up to me in the restaurant again, and we get to talking. Then she asks me if I'd like to go to a movie. I can tell that she's bored because there's really no one her own age for her to hang out with in our town. Or if there are, they're all lame. I think we both get the feeling that it's natural we should hang out, okay? And now that I'm completely out of high school, and she wasn't my teacher, we were both adults. By this time, I was nearly 18, and she had just turned 25. Why not? So this is how it started. We'd meet up in early evenings, totally innocent, and go to the movies, or to the diner, or at a once good restaurant, or the only good restaurant in our town. Miss Fontani, Fontani, you know what? I'll call her Fontani. Was cool about letting me slide when it came to paying for our dates because she knew I made minimum wage. It was actually me who started to push our relationship to the next level. Okay? Oh, the guy's gonna... Okay, the guy's hitting on her 100%, okay? Okay, after a while, I started to hold her hand when we walked places. And finally we started kissing, okay, with Miss Fontani. Never in front of anyone. She taught me a lot of French words and phrases, and over the summer and fall while we were going out, my parents knew I was a sort of dating my former teacher. But since it was a key word former, they didn't really raise any stink about it. Mrs. Fontani would always try to convince me to go to college, but she did see our band play a few times, and we got a real gig at the roller ring. And she was nice enough to not tell us what she really thought of us, lol. We didn't actually have any ... until we had been dating casually for nearly 2 months. It was my idea, but she admitted that she really liked me, and she wanted it to happen ever since she reconnected earlier this year after I had graduated. I'm not a kiss and tell guy type. Why am I speaking like this? What happens with my tongue? But my bandmates sort of knew the dynamic in my relationship with Miss Fontani. She had been Amber. Ever since had changed. Ever since we ... had changed. She appeared cool with it. And I stopped doing it so much dope, and really began putting money to save for the college. The JC near my house was super cheap. Amber would often tell me when she thought about applying there for work, but said that she really wanted to move to West Coast or back to East Coast to teachers college, at a college. Eventually, she told me that she'd like me to come with her. After a few months, I was in love with Mrs. Amber, and she was in love with me too. Okay, congratulations, man. You got your teacher to be your girlfriend. Congratulations! We did it! There are no flaws to everybody who liked your teacher, cause he be like, man, you didn't get my teacher, I did! Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever. After a few months, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But it's not like we pretended not to know each other. Either. Albert have come around the house and my parents really liked her. I thought she was a great influence on me, but I didn't actually exactly cut on my hair. I was neater and more presentable, and eventually, I really did begin enrolling in GE classes at the local 2-year. But then, things were downhill fast. We need to go fast. Da, da, da. Out of my seemingly nowhere, Amber got called for in a meeting with the so-called local school board. This is my secondary account of this situation. As Amber was the one there had been reports that she was actually dating a former student. Romantically, they were talking about me. And that she was having a while relationship with said student when she was still in minor and still attending high school. Of course, she denied everything. Of course, they believed nothing. She had sent me a desperate text since ours is a small town. I think I've mentioned a couple of times already. I was at that meeting in literally 10 minutes. I told them the truth. That I was in Miss Contagni's class in 12th grade, and I was her student. That's all. I told the truth that we reconnected several months, and only then did we begin dating. And I was over 18. The opinion of the board was essentially, look son, we appreciate your noble effort we're making to defend your friend's honor, but we're looking for the truth here, no omissions. I insisted that I was telling the truth, and I was not trying to cover anything up. After lots of tears, Amber was simply warned that it wasn't becoming one of a teacher to be seen with students outside campus, even if they're former students. And we assumed that's all. We're really wondering who complained about us, or who would make up tales about us having ... while I was still in minor and a student of Amber's. I was staying at Amber's apartment by this time. I kicked in a portion of the rent house, and I had even met her parents, albeit only on webcam. They were good people, so they don't speak a lot of English, but Amber filled them in the missing pieces. They knew my age and were cool about it. We assumed that it was a small town. We assumed that it was a small town gossip and it will blow over. Boy, we were wrong. You certainly were. Over the next several weeks after Amber's meeting, with the school board, vicious rumors started to spread around her. I want to salt your imagination. You know what people were saying. One day my boss at the baby house joined and just told me that he had to let me go. Some flim-flam excuse about the store losing money and my hairstyle was driving away customers or whatever. Dude, Amber Amber told me it wasn't my fault and promised to support me, and I looked for another job. But then on 1 year, she got fired too. She was working as a probability teacher. It meant that during her first 2 years, she could be fired for any reason, and actually no reason had to be given. Explanations were for those who earned tenure. We both knew why she was getting fired, but the district strongly implied that it was simply because she was an ineffective teacher. In her defense, I looked at the district file, and the number of students from our school who did unstandardized tests in her subject area lived by double-digit points during the time she was a teacher there. Her numbers were far above the state average, and to this day, since her departure, those same scores have nosedived. Amber told me that students tended not to respond well to her, and she was very popular among the students. It was true that her remained secondary popularity when I was a student, and I assumed that the same carried true, for after a year I graduated. I said from the obvious thing that she was eye candy. She was simply a good teacher and a good person. That's why the kids liked her. Lots of students threatened to riot when she was fired, but being the non-dramatic, non-attention-seeking person she is, Albert asked them to just focus on their studies and doing well, and helping their new teacher just when he or she arrived to take her place. My dad told her she ought to sue the district, but Amber didn't want the drama. Besides, she said she was allowed to resign so she wouldn't slow up her record as having been fired. Also, she said that the district promised not to try to revoke her teaching credential. Her own parents suggested maybe she ought to come home to France, but she insisted on sticking it out in America. My parents were cool in that they offered her to move in with us while she figured her life out. She was lucky that her parents are well off, because they gave her some money to relocate to California. She asked me to please come with her, that she loved me and blah blah blah. She would start new there. I always wanted to move in California. I always wanted to move in California, so I jumped at the chance. My parents were happy that I was in a relationship with a good person who obviously cared about me, and gave us some money too. We got an apartment together in the Los Angeles, LA area. Neither of us drove, so we both got bikes to get around. Our new area was a world apart from our lower life. I know Amber's own teenage years were in Paris, and so Los Angeles wouldn't be as of culture shock for her. I immediately enrolled at a local community college, and I got a job as a waiter in a popular French restaurant. Our gimmick was that some people actually formed friends. Over the last several months, Amber taught me a lot of friends, so I was a popular server in the restaurant, cause I gave it authentically. Unfortunately for Amber, the school district misled her about her teaching license, When they promised not to have her license revoked, they spoke the truth, but they left out the part where they would attach an official reprimand to it that accused her of inappropriate relations with students under her age. So whenever Amber applied for teaching jobs, this would be immediately coming up as a red flag for her applications. Another surprise red flag was that schools that she applied to would notice that she had been fired from their last job. No, I wasn't, she said. I resigned. Yeah, but it says here you were forced to resign to avoid termination for cause. Average is 7 years older than me, but I think in some ways I know a lot more about how nasty Americans can be with her than her. Well, all people can be nasty, you know. Whatever. Everywhere she went, doors would slam. Career-wise, she applied to the state teaching license organization, and they would say they'd look into it. But months later, nothing came up. Calls in the former school resulted in her getting run around. No one knew anything. So, for the next several months, I was paying our day-to-day bills, and helping to support Amber, though I must acknowledge that loans both set our parents gave us shouldn't give it. Without them, finally, Amber tells me, you know what? F trying to teach public school. And by the way, I'm pregnant. Okay. So, this is where I'm gonna be finishing the video. Yeah. And I'll see you in another video. You know, let me actually get the slideshow back. Yeah. This is how I'm recording, by the way. Streamlab OBS. Yeah, do you like it? I guess you do. Or something. I don't actually care. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in another one. My name is Grinter Turner, and goodbye.